Hi friends, welcome back to the Common Sense Grandma. If you are new here, my name is Michelle. Welcome to baking day. Today we are going to bake two different types of breads. And this is something I've been doing for many years. I first learned how to bake whole wheat bread at a church bread making class when we lived on Guam, probably 1987, no, 85, somewhere around there. Anyway, I thought that was so much fun. My mom did make bread every once in a while growing up, but it wasn't a regular thing, so I didn't really learn back then, but I did learn at the bread class. And then my mother-in-law, she had gotten a Magic Mill and a Bosch in 1986, and she used it a few times and realized it might be good for me to have. And so when we moved back here to California in 1987, I brought it with me, and it's been a lifesaver. I still have it. In fact, our next video will probably be milling the wheat and making bread in the Bosch. But today we're going to do two different kinds of bread. This is my from my zojirushi I have over here. I'm just going to mix everything in here and put it on the dough cycle. I don't care for baking bread in the zojirushi. To me, it doesn't form the way I want the loaf to look. And even though I put it on light crust, it still comes out kind of dark. And so I prefer to just bake it in the oven. Now, if I'm in a hurry, because it takes an hour and 50 minutes in the bread maker for the dough cycle. If I'm in a hurry, I'm just gonna make one loaf, I will use the KitchenAid. If I wanna make 5 loaves, I will use the Bosch. I don't usually use the Bosch anymore since it's my husband and I half the time, and then there's 5 of us here the other half the time. I should use the Bosch more because I really like how it mixes the bread. It just makes beautiful bread. I don't like washing it, so, you know, give and take, right? But today, let's just get this going because it takes, like I said, an hour and 50 minutes, and it sits there for probably 15-20 minutes just warming everything. So when you're using a bread maker, make sure the kneading paddle things are lined up the same. And I will say, the zojirushi is expensive. I got it used on eBay. I had bought another one for one daughter on Amazon, also used. And then other daughter, I got her, I don't know if it's an Amazon brand, one of the brands, not expensive at all, and it works just fine. And I tell you, if you can find one maybe in a thrift store, get yourself a bread maker because you can just throw everything in there, not worry about it, not make a mess, and it goes so quick. So I will include down below, I will include both recipes for the French bread we're gonna do, and this is I call it half and half. It's not full whole wheat. We could, same measurements except for all whole wheat flour, but I like a little bit of the all-purpose flour. So we have 1 1/4 cups of water, and you do need to put your wet ingredients on the bottom, and then we're going to do 2 tablespoons, which is 1/8 of a cup. So I've got a 1/4 cup measurer here because we put a 1/4 cup of honey. So it's easier to get the honey out if this has been oiled a little bit. So that's how we do this. I apologize. You might hear something loud in the background. That is a helicopter. We live right by a big trauma center, and we have helicopters day and night. That's just the way it goes. It's okay. So there is the honey and the oil. I like to put the salt in now. We put 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt. I like to keep the salt down in this so it mixes up. And now we're going to put in our whole wheat flour. We do 2 cups. And then we're going to do 1 1/2 cups of the all-purpose. Ooh, jumped up there. I like to use organic flour. I buy my flour from Azure Standard. In a pinch, Costco does have good organic all-purpose flour for a very good price. All right, now all we have left is our yeast. Oh, I did right on here, I thought I did. I keep my yeast in the freezer. That way it stays nice and fresh. So 1.5 teaspoons of yeast. And then I put a heaping teaspoon or so. This is Vital Wheat gluten. I also ordered lecithin from Amazon. I think it's coming today. I've read a lot about lecithin, that it helps with the texture of the bread. I've never used it. When I first started bread making, there was something called dough enhancer, and I used to use that. But when I read the ingredients recently, I thought, no, I'm not going to buy that again. Not good ingredients. So we just go put this in the bread maker and let it go on its journey. Don't have to do anything other than press the button. Okay, good to go. Now let's make French bread. And I forgot, I need to get my recipe. It's up, I keep it up here. Here's my recipe. I've had this for years. And I think it depends on how you want to shape it. I have one of these I got on Amazon. So I'm going to make 2 big loaves. But we just put it in here. Put all our ingredients in here. I already put in 2 cups of slightly warm water. And then, what do we put? A tablespoon of sugar. Very, very easy recipe. You really can't mess it up. And then 3 tablespoons of olive oil. I thought it was 2. It says 3. Okay. Again, I like to put the wet ingredients first at the bottom. I don't know if it matters, but I think it's better if you do that. 2 teaspoons of salt. 4 to 5 cups of flour, and we're using the all-purpose flour today. I found 5 cups. I just put 5 cups. If I do anything less, it says start with 4, but if I do anything less, it's too sticky. So we're going to put in our 5 cups. That's going to take a little bit. But this is a wonderful bread for, my favorite thing is to make French toast with it. It's so delicious. Now, I have done this mixture in the bread maker before, but because there's 5 cups of flour, it rose all the way to the top and made a mess. So you could make it in the bread maker, but let it rise outside of the bread maker, you know, take it out. I hope I put 5 cups. I hope I didn't mess up. Yeast, 1 tablespoon. So it's got quite a bit of yeast in it. And that is it. So we're gonna let this run. I'm sorry it's gonna be a little loud. Put it on low first so you don't get flour everywhere. And then it says let it go on speed number 2. Add more flour as needed. I just stick it all in at that one time. I've made this so many times. I don't want to put it on 2 yet. Okay, here we go. Okay, we're gonna let it go for 5 minutes and then I'll show you what it looks like. Our 5 minutes are up. And it's a very sticky dough. That's the way it's supposed to be. In fact, I'm gonna get my hands a little wet to get the dough off the kneading paddle thing here. Now, I probably break rules in bread making in that I don't take it out and put it in an oiled bowl. That it doesn't make sense to me to get another bowl dirty. I just leave it like this and let it rise. I don't have a problem with doing that because to me it's just like the bread maker there. You don't take it out and put it in something else. So this is what it looks like. It's beautiful. And when we go to roll it out and put it in here, we score it, do some slashes, and you can do an egg wash. And if you want to put, it's very good with everything, bagel seasoning or a little garlic salt. I generally just do them plain because I do want to make French toast. I can't wait to have that tomorrow. But you know, you can make, you can put Parmesan cheese. There's so many things you can do. It's up to you really what you want to do, how you want to go with it. So I have a very tea towel here that's very raggedy looking, but it still does the job. And I think we let it, yeah, I put it in the oven with the oven light on, that's all, and it's perfect for rising, 30 minutes. And then we will roll it out and put it on this. I do use parchment paper. I found the parchment paper really helps with, you know, it just comes right up. So we're just gonna put this in the oven. Let me see if it will sit and not tip. Sometimes it wants to tip. No, it's fine. That's it. Can you imagine? Now I know you can buy, I've seen these loaves of bread at Walmart for 99 cents. But if you read the ingredients, there's always extra things in there that I don't necessarily want to eat. And if you make it yourself, you know what's in it. You saw how simple that was. And it freezes really well. I have bread bags here. This is what I use for our whole wheat bread. But for these loaves, I have found I have to cut it. Yeah, see, it doesn't fit. I cut it in half, but they fit in there side by side. And with this bread, you could do French bread pizza. There's so many things you can do with this French bread. And especially if you keep it in the freezer, you can just make whatever you want really quickly. So as soon as this has risen, I'll bring you back and we'll roll it out. See you soon. Now that our bread has risen in the oven with the light on, here it is. And we're going to shape it. Now, I don't use flour. I like to use just cooking spray. And I oil my hands a little bit with it. Just take it out. Oh, it's so soft. It comes right out, no problem. It's still very soft on top. If you want to use flour, that's fine. I just find it's a little easier to do it this way. Just want to make sure my hands are good. Okay. Ooh, it's so light. Look at that. Okay. Now, the recipe says this makes 3 loaves. My bread pan here is kind of large, but I'm going to cut a piece off. You know, I have this bench scraper and I never use it. I'm going to take some off and I'm going to put it back in a bag and throw it in the freezer. So on an evening, I can make fresh bread real quick. I will label it, but for now, it's going in this bag. I did this last time, about a month ago, and it was just perfectly fine. Let me throw it in the freezer because otherwise it's going to start rising. Okay, now, I should have done the parchment paper. before I got my hands all dirty. That's okay. I do have parchment paper sheets, big ones and small ones, but for this job, I like this. I wad it up so it will do what I want it to do. It will stay where I want it to stay. And I'm sorry if that's hurting your ears. It's kind of loud. Okay, there we go. I think we're good. I'm gonna cut this in half. Maybe I'll use the bench scraper. Very sticky. I don't know if it's our weather. You know, it's been so hot here, and now it isn't, which is nice. We even had rain the other night. I should get the scale out. It's right down here. Okay. Just, you don't have to be so precise. You know, bread making, just go with it. This is kind of like, have you ever worked with pizza dough or focaccia? It's kind of like that. So you just stick it on here. There's one. I've even done this, honestly, without getting this out and just use my hands, which is usually what I do with the sandwich bread. I don't know. I'm like, less is best. I don't want to make a mess. Okay. There we go. Here it is. Okay, so we have this here, and I'm going to go ahead and score it now. Some people score it before, some people do it when it's risen. I don't like touching the bread once it's here and it's risen, because I have deflated it before. That's not good. So today, I am going to go ahead and do the egg wash, just so I'm showing you the proper way. I'm going to do it on this one. It's just a nice, I guess I'll do the egg wash on both. But I'm going to put the everyday bagel seasoning on just one loaf, because again, I want to make French bread. One time I made this with garlic that was like a freeze-dried garlic. It was a little bit chunky. It was so good. It was delicious. All right. I actually don't usually do this step, but it does make it nice. It makes it nice and shiny. Okay. Then we've got everyday bagel seasoning, whichever one you have. I know you can buy it at pretty much any grocery store. I'm going to do it on this one over here. Just put that on there. And there we go. Okay. Back in the oven for probably 20 minutes. And then I'll take it out, preheat the oven. I think we bake it at 425. 425 for 25 minutes. Don't go any longer than that. 25 minutes is perfect. So let me go throw this back in the oven. And by then, our bread that's in the bread maker should be about ready to finish. I will insert a video right here that shows the dough going around in the bread maker so you can see that. Okay, we'll continue on with these steps. Once this is risen, I will bake it, and then you can see the finished product. here's our French bread ready to go in the oven. It's actually been rising about 35 minutes. My directions on my paper say 20 minutes, but I found it actually took about 35 minutes, I think. It's not as large as it usually is, but that's because I took a piece of that, you know, I took a chunk of bread off that I can bake at another time that's just for my husband and I. It'll be, you know, much smaller little baguette, but this is gonna go in. It goes in for 25 minutes at 425. And it's hanging down a little bit, so it's gonna be kind of messy. That's okay. My oven is small, unfortunately. Now here's our bread, our honey whole wheat bread from the bread maker. And I wanted to show you a little bit first here on my bread pans. This is my favorite bread pan. It's just a Pyrex. It's not expensive. You can get it at any store, Target, Walmart, Amazon. Sometimes the grocery stores have them, so it's only like $5, $6. Here's a beautiful Corningware one. I have a set. I think I got this on eBay. I know I've mentioned in previous videos, I have a Corningware obsession. This is part of a set. Where did my grandma's pan go? Oh, here it is. I actually have my grandma's bread pans. This is a very ugly one. I have about 5 of these, but they work just fine. And then I have these, I forget who makes these. It says USA pan. This one, it's a little bit, you know, it's taller than this. You can put the same size in here. When I use the Bosch, I use these, but I actually have some of the longer ones, and I think I have 3 of them. And this is called a Pullman pan. So it's like sandwich bread you get at the store because you put your lid on and it keeps it all intact. It doesn't puff up so much. I do like this. I like it very much, but my favorite pan is still my Corningware. So that's the one we're going to use today. Should I use butter? Probably. But this is so much easier. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I don't always roll it out on the marble. I'll show you what I do. Oh, this is lovely. It's a lovely, lovely loaf here of dough. I just do this until I get it the shape that I want. Because I don't like dirtying things, you know. I'm not a big fan of washing dishes. Not my favorite. So I don't put this in the dishwasher because it's got this deep thing here and then it fills with water, and best not to do that. So, but if you were to knead, you know, you could just do your kneading like this, turn, all of that, but it doesn't need it. I just kind of do this. Now, when I use my Bosch and I make a lot of bread, or if I'm making a couple loaves from the KitchenAid, you do need to roll it out like this because you've got to separate it. Just make sure we're all pinched back here. And this takes about, how long? 45 minutes for it to rise. And then we bake it at 350 for 35 minutes. It's always perfect. I put it in the oven, let it rise with the light for 45 minutes, take it out, just let it sit on the counter, and I turn the oven on because it takes a little bit for it to preheat. Now today it's going to be a little bit different because the oven's already hot. So we just do that. Here we go. And we're just going to let it sit here because the oven is in use. I do have a toaster oven in my laundry room, but I don't like baking bread in it. It's like it's a convection and it goes kind of fast, and it doesn't have, I like more air in there, and it's not as tall as I would like. I can bake bread in there if I have to. I was without my oven here when that hinge broke. I was without an oven for a couple weeks, so I had to use the toaster oven, but I prefer to bake it in here. And I just wanted to mention a little bit about why I bake our bread. One is definitely it saves money. I don't even know, my husband was asking me the other day, how much does a loaf of bread cost at the grocery store? I said, I honestly don't know, but something comparable to this would have to be at least $4. And I know there's no way this costs $4 for me to make. I'm assuming maybe $1. I could figure it out. That sounds like complicated math. I would have to ask ChatGPT and put in all my prices of what I pay for everything, and then I could figure it out. But I know it's less than $4 or $5 for sure. I know what's in here. I know what the ingredients are, where they came from. There's no preservatives, additives, nothing. And I like to feed our family well with healthy, good nutrition. And also it gives me satisfaction. You know, when we're doing these things, that's maybe one reason why I like canning. I have something sitting on the shelf that I know that I made, that I can use, and it's healthy. I know what's in there. I like those, you know, ingredients. And yes, you can get upset with me about this. I'll be the first to admit it's not the best thing. I do have some of the avocado spray. It did not release. I've tried it a couple times. It didn't work. And sometimes we have to compromise. This is my compromise. But I do enjoy baking bread. It gives me satisfaction. Like, it's hard to explain maybe, but for those of you who cook from scratch, you know what I'm talking about. And I just really enjoy it. And so I like doing these videos on how we can save money and how we can feed our families well with whole ingredients. So I will show you after all the bread is baked, when it's all finished, how it looks. And thank you so much for joining me today in our bread baking. I really appreciate it. But we'll see you in a little while. This has to rise and the other bread has to finish, and I can't wait to see it. I can already smell it. It smells so good. So we'll see you in a few minutes, friends. Here are our beautiful loaves of bread, plain French bread. And yes, I had to take a piece off and check it because I forgot to set the timer when I was baking it. And then this one with the everything bagel, and this beautiful bread just came out of the oven. I'm going to cut it in half. But you know, one tip, friends, is when you bake bread, you need to let it cool down before you cut it. So I am showing you this, but we don't cut it in slices until it's completely cool. And I just so look forward to having some of this bread. Now, I wanted to mention that on the French baguettes, you know, you don't have to have that fancy pan that I have. You can just use your regular sheet pan, and you divide it up into 3, not probably 2 loaves. The recipe says 3, but if you do it in 2 loaves, they're going to be bigger. Now, normally this rises a lot more, but that's because I took a chunk of the dough off. Otherwise, they would be bigger. And you can just shape it into the baguette size and just put it on your sheet pan and bake it, and it's just fine. I just do like that pan in that it shapes it a little bit better, but you don't have to do that. You can just use, you know, I used for quite a few months probably just a regular sheet pan. But this smells, oh, it smells so good. It came out just perfect. I'm happy. So we have bread for sandwiches and for toast tomorrow. I hope you're all having a blessed week. And thank you for joining me today. If you don't mind, please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. The recipes will be posted down below, and also on my blog, thecommonsensgrandma.com. See you all soon. Bye-bye.